So in video 5, I'm going to cover a little bit about insulin injections, some tips that I've learned over the last few years that have worked very well for me. So these are the two fast-acting and slow-acting insulins that I use every day. Now the regime that I follow is I inject fast-acting insulin with each meal that I have that contains carbs. And then my background insulin, my slow-acting insulin, I take in the morning and I take at night time. So I wanted to follow a plan that I felt was mimicking the body's natural way of doing things. And in a normal person, obviously their pancreas produces insulin every time they eat, and then there's a little bit of background insulin going on in the system to help the body naturally keep a very good balance. Within a diabetic person, this process doesn't happen naturally, so my way of thinking was that I wanted to try and mimic what the body does naturally as closely as possible. So the first thing I do is I actually do carb counting. So there's a great book called Carbs and Calories. This is a very visual book. You can get it on Amazon, and it actually shows you pictures of portion sizes of foods. So my doctor explained to me that you only need to use your fast-acting insulin when you're eating a meal that contains carbohydrates. So if you have a meal and you can either weigh it or portion size it visually by using the book, then you carb count so many units for the amount of carbs that you're going to have. Now I've found over the years for my own personal body that I need about a 1:5 ratio. So I take 1 unit of insulin for every 5 grams of carbs that I'm going to eat. This is going to be different for each and every person. So you have to tweak it and have a bit of a play around until you get it right for you, and obviously work with your doctors and diabetic nurses to help you to establish what your natural balance is. What I always do with my insulin pen is I literally, before I do any injection, I just do 1 unit of test to make sure that the pen works properly and make sure the needle works properly. And I change the needle every time that I do an injection, and I usually do my injections either in the backs of my arms here, down the sides of my legs, or in my buttocks. You want to be going into the fatty tissue, not into the muscle, and injecting in a different place each time that you take your insulin. So I will inject 1 time in this arm, then in this arm, then in this leg, then in this leg, and I will rotate to the places where I do my injections. If for any reason you find, which I've had happen to me on a few occasions, that for a few days my sugar levels started to go up, then I've had problems with the pen not working properly. So if you become aware of that, then straight away start a new pen, just to make sure that the pens are working properly. There's also a new pen that one of my friends has been using, which is very good, which actually will tell you the time and how much units you took on your last injection. And I will put a picture of this up on the page, because sometimes when you're leading a busy life, you can forget when you last took your insulin. So this is a really good little gadget to remind you of when you've done your last injection. So I hope that this is of help to you.